Okay, I'm just going to review The Hobbit really quick. Now, let me preface this by mentioning that basically I adore the books. The Hobbit, I'm very, very intimate with. Lord of the Rings, I especially love. Certainly, I've read Unfinished Tales, Silmarillion, so, I get the references here and there to the blue wizards that, in the film. I like the little touches, certainly. Um, Let me marsh my thoughts. I was just talking it over with a family member, and me personally, I don't think it's a bad film. There are bits that do work. Golem is great, and I really like how it wrapped up at the end. Not to give anything away, certainly. It was very emotionally satisfying. But my feeling is that it's not going to be as loved as the earlier films that Peter Jackson's worked on, especially the Lord of the Rings films. I mean, most people haven't seen Brain Dead and the rest. Um, the trouble is that I'm not sure it justifies the length. You've got a very short book, and to make a trilogy out of it, good grief. I sincerely hope Smaug's in the next bit because that's a great way to kind of lead on to the next film. That's a good hook. It kind of reminds me of the early Lord of the Rings film when they have the fade of Fellowship and then it goes to Mordor and you see a little hint of what's to come. Uh, the trouble is the length. I'm not sure that a lot of people really want to sit through it a lot. I saw Fellowship several times when it came out in the theaters. I thought it was probably, in retrospect, I think it's probably the best film of the earlier Lord of the Rings films, especially in the extended edition. I think the trouble with The Hobbit is, okay, it has a lot there. You're touching on the White Console. You're touching on, you get a little background into Gandalf. He talks about the wizards, the blue wizards, about Radagast. You get Radagast as a full-blown character. But do you need Radagast as a full-blown character? Is it really... The trouble is, I don't think a three-film trilogy is really necessary for The Hobbit. It's a very simple story that Tolkien later elaborated on for a trilogy. You go to a mountain, and you come back. Although in this case, it's Bilbo finds something rather than Frodo having to lose something. I think it's a good film, though. I do think it's a good film. I'm giving it 3 stars because there's some bits that I don't know why they have Azog in there. I don't understand that. I found that rather tedious. Far too much fighting, far too much battle. The Hobbit's not really that kind of book. It's just really, it's a little saddening to see, all this overblown. I mean, I think what worked really well was Golem. And that's just a simple scene of two characters playing off each other, and you got Bilbo terrified out of his wits' end, holding a sword before him, even though he has no idea how to use a sword. It's not in his nature to kill besides. So, that worked really well. And I think that really, I can't really say any bits really failed. I like the singing. I like the a cappella songs in the beginning. That's a great buzz. They have Tolkien's wit coming out in songs like about breaking into plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. So my feeling is that it's a good film. I will certainly see the later films, but my concern is that it's not as good as the Lord of the Rings, is it? I mean, it's not as grandiose. It's not really as it doesn't go there. With regard to The Hobbit, maybe it would have worked better in just 2 films. I honestly don't know. I haven't seen the other 2 films after this as yet, so I can't really say. So I'm giving it 3 stars. I'm not really keen to see it again. I think when Fellowship came out, I saw it 7, 8 times just in the theaters and alone, and then I had on bootleg video for ages as well. After that time, that I watched constantly. I don't think the Hobbit films will be as loved, though. I honestly don't think that. There's a lot to be said for it. It's great that they're having Thranduil. It's great that they're having the elves playing a more interesting part. Helping Thorin and company along. with regard to the map, it's interesting that Saruman is there, but you don't know whether he's good or evil. He's ornery. He's being difficult, but you can understand his point of view. It's a time of peace, and Sauron hasn't been heard of for ages, so maybe they don't want to believe that Sauron is returning, in the person of the necromancer, who, is just a bare reference in the book. So I give it a thumbs up.